Imagine waking up in your apartment. Same bed, same ceiling, same window, same city outside. Then the walls start folding. Your hallway stretches like rubber. The floor tilts sideways. Your bathroom rotates above your head. The street outside splits into 5 different streets, all stacked on top of each other like someone is shuffling reality with invisible hands. Inside the mirror dimension, standard Euclidean geometry collapses. Rigid structures like concrete and steel lose their stability, behaving like a hyper-variable fluid that can be bent and weaponized. During a crisis, the human brain instinctively seeks shelter. We subconsciously map architectural safe zones, the load-bearing walls, the fixed corners, and the reliable exits, relying on those features to remain static. This dimension strips architecture of its permanence. A home stops being a fixed location and becomes a malleable substance, waiting for external, hostile input to rewrite its layout. The mirror dimension triggers a specific trauma, the active betrayal of human survival instincts by a familiar environment. This betrayal destroys our baseline spatial trust. To move confidently, the brain must continuously update its cognitive map of distances and objects. This diagram shows what happens when the environment outpaces the mind. The grid lines rapidly shift and intersect, while the slower pulsing radius attempts to scan the layout. This creates map update latency, a failure state where geometry changes faster than the visual cortex can process. Because the brain's spatial data is perpetually outdated, basic survival movements become mathematically lethal. Running toward an exit assumes the door remains in the coordinate where you last perceived it. Standard directional vectors collapse. The concept of forward loses meaning when the street ahead folds into the space behind you. The primary enemy here is the mathematical unreliability of the physical space itself. Beyond the geometry, the dimension forces an immediate physiological crisis, beginning within the inner ear. This schematic details the vestibular system. The semicircular canals rely on stable fluid levels to track balance. When visual data conflicts with rapidly rotating gravitational vectors, the result is severe nausea and kinetic trauma. Falling through this space is uniquely terrifying because gravity is localized and inconsistent. Without a reliable surface to brace against, the body experiences total sensory overload and biological panic. Even if you manage to find steady footing, the environment offers no civil engineering. Modern survival depends on invisible thermodynamic systems like plumbing, electricity, and HVAC. The mirror dimension mimics the visual shell of civilization, but provides an empty topography. The pipes connect to nothing. The buildings offer no functional utility or supply chains. Dehydration becomes a rapid threat. The physical exertion required to navigate shifting geometry, combined with the sweat loss from constant panic, burns through the body's water reserves faster than starvation. Surviving here is a race against compounded physiological collapse in an environment devoid of life support. The isolation is psychologically devastating. You exist parallel to human society while remaining entirely separated from it. You can see thousands of people on a familiar street, but you exist on an inaccessible frequency. You can scream from a window, but the real world only hears silence. This makes the dimension an ideal battlefield. For a civilian, collateral damage takes on a new meaning when the very walls you use for cover are being actively weaponized by the combatants. Physics in this dimension is partisan. The entity with the highest magical processing power dictates the geometric rules of engagement for everyone inside. Moving architecture generates immense shearing forces. Concrete and steel carry extreme kinetic energy, turning a rotating building into a massive crush hazard. A structure kills a resident long before it collapses. It only needs to move at an angle or velocity that human biology cannot survive. The subject is trapped in a specialized arena where the fundamental laws of physics align with the combatants. Prolonged exposure triggers cognitive degradation. The brain cannot maintain its health in a state of continuous spatial instability. If the brain eventually accepts hyper-variable geometry as normal, it loses its ability to trust baseline equality. Upon escape, a victim might feel unsettled by still walls, waiting for the room to fold. Your chronobiology collapses next. Without social routines or reliable solar cycles, your circadian rhythms and perception of duration dissolve. Look at this routing attempt. Escaping this environment is a logistical paradox. Interacting with these dimensional boundaries requires the specific magical training and tools of a sorcerer, capabilities an ordinary civilian does not possess. Standard emergency response is impossible. Conventional rescue teams cannot physically breach or even perceive a non-Euclidean entry vector. Even for a magical responder, extraction is dangerous. Attempting to stabilize local geometry for a civilian creates further chaotic and lethal variables. The subject is effectively sealed in a closed-loop system where neither internal navigation nor external extraction is viable. The mirror dimension operates as a highly efficient containment mechanism, functioning exactly as intended. It is the magical equivalent of a bomb disposal chamber. Its ability to isolate threats makes it a flawless prison for anyone trapped inside. The greatest danger is the dimension's impossible aesthetic perfection. Human cognition attempts to process these shifting landscapes through awe. This awe pauses our fight-or-flight response, masking the immediate kinetic lethality of the folding environment. The dimension presents a reflection of home, while stripping away every system that makes a home livable. The ultimate terror is the false hope of familiar, impossible architecture. It presents a recognizable world, while ensuring that world will never protect you.